Well, my name is Brian and I'll be showing you how to knit a scarf. So the things you'll be needing are a pair of needles, tapestry needle, some scissors, and some yarn. First step is to make a slip knot, so you want to use the yarn, the end of the yarn to make a loop. So leave a couple inches here and then just create a loop. And then you want to get this end of the yarn, put it behind the loop, and pull that tail end of the yarn through the loop, and you created slip knot. Next is getting your needle and pushing it through that hole, and then now it's on there. Then the next step is to tighten the slip knot. And you want to tighten it until it's kind of snugged in there by pulling one of these, this side of the yarn or this side, just pull it down, and you'll tighten it. This is technically your first stitch, and next step is to add stitches. And depending on how wide you want your scarf, you could add on 15 to 20 stitches for a wide scarf, but for demonstration purposes, I'm just going to add 5. So in order to cast on some stitches, you want to make a gun shape with your hand, or left hand. Have the yarn on top of your index finger here. Turn left, and then see that loop here when I made a left? I want to make this needle go through that loop. And then just press and then pull down, and you have your second stitch. I'll do it again. Make a gun, turn left, stick your needle through that loop. So I made 8 stitches here. Next step is to do a knit stitch. Now knit stitch is basically for beginners, and that's why I'm doing the knit stitch. So to knit stitch, you want to get your right needle, put your right hand, or get your right needle, and then push it through your first stitch right here. Push underneath like so, and then you want to wrap the longer end of your yarn around the right needle from the back to the front, creating a loop. You see this right here. And then you want to pull down on your right needle and hook that loop you just looped around your right needle. See, right there. And then once you do that, you want to push through that loop you made into that stitch, and then lift up. Oops. And then that is your first stitch. If it gets loose like that, you just want to tighten it up. Again, so you want to push from this stitch, right needle into that stitch, wrap around from the back to the front, and then you get that loop that you just made around your right needle, hook it, and push it through that stitch on the left, lift up. And it's an end stitch. So I just knit and stitch all the stitches I got from my left side and put it on my right side. Now you just want to continue that same process, switch over to this hand, and continue the knit and stitch. And you want to keep doing this until you have the desired length you want. So I just knit stitched the length I want. This is just practice, so I just stopped here, and you could keep going until you want the desired length. And now the next step is to cast off. So to cast off, you want to make 2 knit stitches on the right side. So go ahead and do that. Oops. And then when you do that, you want to get your left needle, push it through the stitch that you just made, the first stitch you made, and then pull it over the second stitch. Once you do that, you want to lift up with your right needle and push forward and lift up. And every time you want to cast off, you have to have 2 stitches on this side, so I'm going to do it again right here. So you have 2 stitches, and then you want to cast off. Want to keep going until you get one cast off stitch on this side. I just completed my cast off now, and the next step, oh, and you have one stitch on the right side, so you cast off and then you leave one stitch on the right. The next step is just a couple inches from the tail of the yarn, so maybe like 5 to 6 inches off. So I'm gonna do that right now. And then the next step is to cast off using your hand. So you want to do the same process. You want to wrap around, and you see this stitch here. You want to lift this up over to this yarn you just wrapped around the right needle, and then you want to lift, hook that loop, and then push up, and then push up again, and then you just cast it off. So when you're done casting off, the next step is just to weave in these ends here. So you want to get a tapestry needle. You see this hole here. You want to get the tail of the yarn and put it through this hole here. And once you do that, I'm not going to do it completely, but weave this in just like so. Weave it in from up here and then down. And once you're done with that, all of your stitches, it will blend in with the stitches. And then let's see, and then later on, when you want to cut this off, you'll have a little bit off here. You won't blend all of it in completely, but you'll just cut this part off right here, and then after you're done, it'll look like this. So you would weave in everything and cut off the smaller parts. Scarf, guys, and it's pretty good, but I could do better next time. The reason why I chose this was because I wanted to make something, you know, for some family members, and my girlfriend, they like scarves, so I wanted to make something for them one day. My experiencing and learning how to knit a scarf was through YouTube. There's different videos on YouTube for beginners, and I learned through YouTube. At first it was pretty tough, but as I kept practicing, it got a little better. And the two challenging steps I had difficulty with was knit and stitch and casting off. Knit and stitch I never knitted before, so getting that down was difficult at first, and casting off was difficult at first, but as I kept practicing and watching the videos online, and I got used to it, and I was able to do it. Some of the cultural aspects is that my aunties and my grandma used to knit, and I used to see them knit, and I thought of them, and I wanted to learn. And being Filipino, my aunties and grandma, they used to do that, and I wanted to learn because of that too. Some of the benefits for clients when knitting is processing skills, developing processing skills and motor skills, and hand-eye coordination, and manipulating the needle and the yarn will help clients with hand therapy. Basically, holding it and then knitting and stitching will help with the hands, and developing those processing skills and motor skills and hand-eye coordination. I would grade this up by there's a knit and stitch, and then you also have a knit and purl. That's pretty difficult. Using thinner yarn would be grading it up and making it more challenging. Grading it down, I would have the client use bigger needles. The bigger the better, because he could grip it better, and then the thicker the yarn is, the better to grasp it. So those are some ways that you could grade it down. Overall, this experience was pretty cool. Now I could knit a scarf, and something for my girlfriend, or for something for my daddy if he wants a scarf, and use it as gifts too. So I had a good time. It was pretty difficult, but I got used to it. So thanks a lot, guys. Have a good one.